You have wisely come to the conclusion that you even appreciate the contrast that gives birth to your desire? Yes. More contrast, please, yes. We're pushing it, aren't we? Can you stand where you are with things that you desire, not yet fulfilled or completely manifest in your experience, still feeling the thrill of the unfolding? That's good. Because if you stand in your now, wanting something not yet fulfilled, and you are uncomfortable about its not yet fulfillment, then vibrationally you are different from your desire. And your desire cannot come to one who vibrates differently. Law of attraction says that which is likened to itself is drawn. So when you feel enthusiasm for your new desire, then you match it. When you feel anticipation and eagerness, then you match it. When you feel worried about it, you're not a match. When you feel frustrated that it is taking so long, you're not a match. When you feel envy of those who have achieved it while you have not, you are not a match. In other words, your emotions let you know what your vibrational content is. Your emotions are your guidance system that help you to understand at all times where you are in vibrational proximity to your own desires. It's such a wonderful thing when you begin to recognize what your emotions are telling you, because your emotions are your vibrational meter. Everything in our universe, whether we are non-physically focused or physically focused, is vibrational. And sometimes you don't realize that because you're in these physical bodies doing such an excellent job of translating your experience into the physical equivalent through these interpreters in your body that make it possible. Your eyes interpret vibration and so you see. Your ears interpret vibration and so you hear. Even your nose and fingertips and tongue are vibrational interpreters. And your emotional center, which gives you the feeling of anger or joy, that emotional center is a vibrational interpretation of energy. And so as you are understanding that your emotions are letting you know how you're doing vibrationally, and you begin to not only pay attention to the way you feel, but you begin to deliberately guide yourself by feeling. In other words, you reach for feelings. When you begin to reach for feeling, then you reach for vibration. So if you understand that you are extensions of source energy, you are pure positive energy extended into this physical environment, you are truly on the leading edge of thought. And as you are feeling wonderful, as you feel joyful and eager, as you are filled with love or appreciation, in that moment, you have found, by virtue of whatever you are choosing to give your attention to, a vibration that so fully matches the source that is you, that there is no resistance in your vibration. You are a perfect extension of your source. And in that moment, you are really being you. You are full of you. You are being the you that you were before you decided to come into this body. You are source in physical form. But if you feel fear or anger or any of those emotions that you would describe as negative emotion, what that means is right now, what is most active in your vibration, in other words, what you're giving your attention to, is not a perfect match to who you are. You've got a different vibration going, and in the process, you've introduced some static, or even a better word for it is resistance, to your signal. So you are not the full receiver. You are not absolutely allowing a full reception of who you are. And in those cases, you do not do as well. When you allow connection, you thrive. You are clear-minded, you are vital and alive, you are full of energy, you feel good, you laugh easily, things unfold wonderfully for you. You guide your life through thought, not with hard work or struggle or effort. But when you are focused upon things that cause that static or resistance within your vibration, then everything is harder for you because you are not allowing the resources of the universe to function for you. Oh, they still are functioning, and they still are functioning for you, but you've got yourselves crossways of the current somehow, and you're not letting it happen. We want to say to you in ways that you cannot help but hear, well-being wants you. Well-being wants in. In other words, it is your legacy, it is your birthright, it is who you really are. And unless you're doing that thing you sometimes do that does not let it in, then you are thriving. So as we are moving forward here today, we want to help you find some ways to more consciously offer vibrations that match who you really are. And of course, you cannot do that without a keen awareness of the way you are feeling, because that is your guiding indicator. The question that is worth contemplating many times during the day is, what is my dominant vibration relative to the subjects that are important to me? And the reason we put it to you in that way is because you, depending upon what you are giving your attention to, have the opportunity to offer many different vibrations on many different subjects. You can do that right now. In fact, you could start fresh today and offer only vibrations that serve you. You could. It isn't likely that you will, because you have practiced vibrations. So the vibration that is dominant within you is not like a bucket of thoughts that you are carrying around. And since you've been gathering your bucket for a number of years, now it will take a number of years to empty your bucket. It isn't like that. Your vibrational tendency, or what is dominant within you, just has to do with what you're doing now, but what you're doing now has to do with what you've been doing, because what you've been doing is likely what you're going to be doing now. It's sort of like that's what you've been practicing, so it's likely that that's what you will be doing. We never see you take your radio and thump on it because you heard a song a few minutes ago and you know it's still in there. You don't say, I heard you just a minute ago, now come out again. Because you know that that little box is not a storage cabinet of what it's been displaying for you. It's a transmitter, receiver, and so are you. So you're not like this box that you could thump and get something out of either. What you are is a transmitter receiver that has tendencies, proclivities, sort of habits of vibration. So the way you are going to offer your vibration today is most likely the way you have been doing it, unless you make a decision that you're going to do something differently. And that is the most important thing about deliberate creating. It is deciding how you're going to vibrate, how you're going to offer your energy. But deciding what you're going to vibrate or what thoughts you're going to think is a more difficult path than deciding how you want to feel. If you will decide how you want to feel, then you will more easily guide yourself to those vibrational tendencies that serve you. As we feel the vibration that is you, we acknowledge that there is much more about your vibrational countenance that serves you than that doesn't. In other words, you have enormous expectation for well-being, and that's why you thrive in the manner that you do. Look at the way you live. You have very good lives. Your expectancy is very powerfully pointed toward well-being. But you also have some vibrational tendencies that do not serve you. And that's what this paying attention to the way you feel is all about. There are some habits of thought that you've picked up along your physical trail that do not serve you. So when we say to you, what is your dominant vibration around the subject of money? We would ask you these questions. When you think about money or abundance, does that feel to you like adventure, like fun? Does it feel like eagerness? Does it feel free? Or when you think about money, do you feel uncomfortable, maybe a little worried, limited? You can tell when we ask the question. Now, sometimes you say, well, I feel some of all of that, and we know you do, but the question that we're asking is, which do you feel more often? And you can tell when we ask the question which way you're leaning. When we ask you, how do you feel about your body? Do you feel free and vital and sure-footed, or do you feel tentative and worried and uncertain? You know, you can tell right away. When you think about your dominant relationship, does it feel like adventure and freedom and joy? Or does it feel like bondage and struggle and hard work? You can tell. Which of these thoughts have you been practicing more? So when we talk about a dominant vibration, what we're really talking about is your point of attraction. We're talking about the way you're most likely to offer a thought if you don't stop and think about offering it in a different way. Another way of saying that is, what vibration is activated within me right now? Well, whatever you are giving your attention to activates a thought. It activates a vibration within you. And those things that you give most of your attention to are those things that are most activated. Over time, they become the most dominant. Someone the other day wanted to talk to us about core beliefs. core beliefs. Core beliefs. It sounded as if it was something unchanging, unchangeable, something sort of permanent. And we say, you have vibrational tendencies. Most of them serve you. Some you may want to change. So when we talk about what is the vibration that is most dominant within you, what we're really talking about is, what are you working on activating? What are you deliberately giving your attention to and holding your attention there long enough that it becomes activated and then by law of attraction attracts more into itself until eventually, and sooner than you think, it becomes a dominant vibration within you. So as you begin feeling your way through your day-to-day experiences, it becomes easier for you to recognize what it is you are offering and whether you're doing it deliberately or whether you're doing it by default, whether you're just doing it because you've been doing it. As we listen to you, and as Esther recalls her experiences and begins to recognize that very often there are just ways you feel about things that have nothing to do with now. Sometimes it was an incident that happened when you were 4 or 5 or 10 or 20, something that happened that really didn't have very much to do with you. It happened to those around you. You observed it. You felt their vibration. It was active in their vibration. You observed it long enough that it became active in your vibration. And so even today, it's an active part of your vibration, even though you don't want it, even though it has nothing to do with you. And so as Esther is listening to you and as Esther is watching in her own life and paying attention, one day as we're chewing about all of this, Esther got all revved up and she said, I can damn well choose the vibration that is dominant within me. I don't want the television to activate within me. I don't want past experiences to activate within me. I can choose. And we said, well, we had hoped that it would be more positive, but it's a good first step to acknowledge what you want. In other words, everything is like that, isn't it? Your contrast helps you to conclude what you want. That's what step 1 in the creative process is. And very often, in the middle of step 1, in fact, most often in the middle of step 1, you are nowhere near in vibrational harmony with your own desire, because contrast has literally aggravated you to conclusions that come out of you like brief, sharp, clear rockets, but because your vibrational tendency is not really practiced, you don't maintain the vibration of your desire very long. So step 1 is ask. And when you do, on any level of your being, even if it's a cell that is asking, Source takes care of step 2 and answers your request every single time. But you must be a vibrational match to what you are asking for, or you cannot let it into your experience. And so step 3 is finding a way to relax and allow the well-being that you've been asking for to come into your experience. And that's what we meant earlier when we said you cannot feel frustration about an incomplete desire and be in step 3. When you're feeling frustration about an incomplete desire, you might be amending your desire, you might be modifying it, but you are clearly still in step 1. So is negative emotion an indicator that you are a terrible creator and that you are not doing what you came forth to do? Not at all. Negative emotion is your indicator of your vibrational countenance in the moment. That is true. But what negative emotion really is letting you know where you are offering your vibration. Negative emotion is also, almost without exception, an indication that you are in step 1. And we've noticed that step 1 always comes before step 2. Step 1 always comes before step 3. So if we were standing in your physical shoes and we found ourselves in the middle of something that was making us frustrated, instead of beating up on ourselves about not being in the state of allowing, instead we would say, I'm in step 1. And I'm going to move over to step 3 shortly here, but right now I'm in step 1 and that's all right. This is my clarifying phase. This is where I am determining more clearly what I am wanting. As we talk about the art of allowing, many times we get vibrational, if not verbal arguments from those like you who say, Abraham, that means I should just put up with all of the stuff that people are giving me and like it? That I should carry this banner of non-resistance so that people know that they can just walk over me because I'm never going to give them back what they're asking for? I'm never going to fight back. I'm just going to look sort of like a blank person or feel sort of like a doormat where I just relax and let them have their way with me? And we say, We don't think that you would do that even if we were teaching you to do that. We think when something that you don't like happens, you feel it. We do not think it is possible for you to look at something not in vibrational harmony with who you are or your desire and feel good about it.